Welcome back to Lessons in Property. So today I'm joined by John at Lendinvest. Lendinvest are a major development finance lender and they've recently lent on this exciting project in Glasgow, which is a 69 unit 16.5 million GDV site. We talk about the human side of property development and how strong relationships are key, along with understanding the detail of a site, and that's the difference between success and failure in many cases. If you've ever wondered about the power of teamwork in achieving standout deals, then this episode is for you. Let's jump in. Hi everyone, so today I've got John Pointer with me from Lendinvest. You've been dealing with us recently, haven't you, especially on the site in Glasgow, which is a 16.5 million GDV site. Is it Lendinvest's largest site in Scotland right now?
Yep, it is one of the biggest we've got going on there. We've got two big sites currently, one over in Edinburgh, one over in Glasgow. But actual loan size, this is the biggest one we've got, and that's the biggest one we've done to date as well, which is really nice. Obviously, we're in phase one at the minute, and we're all looking forward to getting into phase two at some point in the future. But yeah, it's been a nice deal. It's been quite an in-depth one to get everyone on the right page and get everything in play. But yeah, it's just nice to continue to support the client after we originally, done a land bridge for them, and now to get it onto the dev and start actually seeing it coming out of the ground and coming to reality.
Yeah, no, it's been quite a journey, and I've said in some of the posts recently that I've been working on it almost right at the outset, so about 4 years, because Paul engaged me, Paul, the sort of lead developer on the team, Paul engaged me very early on, and did have another broker actually at the same time. And I guess a message to all the brokers out there: don't be put off by that, because it doesn't mean to say that you won't get the business. Anything that is pretty important in life, most people have 2 or 3 quotes, don't they, or 2 or 3 people looking at it. And in our case, it turned out that the broker was saying that they could do one thing and that didn't transpire. So all the way I'm staying in contact with Paul, doing what Paul's asking of me. And then we ended up winning the business, which was great. And if it wasn't for a good contact of mine who's a fellow broker, and quite often we see fellow brokers as competition, but it's also a good collaboration. I don't think we'd have found Lendinvest, because Mike, I don't mind saying, at the time had more experience, and he was pointing us in the right direction and linked us up, John. So I'm very grateful to Mike for that. And you guys, of course, Lendinvest are massive. We've used you a lot over the years for buy-to-lets. We know you for bridging, and development finance is your world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe to understand a little bit more for people, developers especially listening, why would they think of Lendinvest, where you stand out in the marketplace?
Lendinvest is 15 years old now. We're not one of the biggest firms. I think we've only got about 300 staff, but we're sort of now we're split over a London office and a Glasgow office. It's actually nice to have a Glasgow office now, and we've just taken bigger office space in Glasgow as well in the recent months. So, we're firmly in Scotland as well as in the UK as a whole. But yeah, I think the way we work is obviously, buy to let, bridging, that sort of bread and butter, and it's done very streamlined. There's a portal that the brokers work with, our BDMs and the teams there. But because development can be, yes, it's building houses, but every deal's different. It's all in a different location. Potentially, you've got different design houses, you've got different teams behind it, different levels of experience. We can't just do that on a portal. So, it's done by having conversations, going out, meeting people, seeing sites, actually really understanding what's being built, where it's being built, who's building it. And you can't do that from just a portal. So,
No.
it's really key to us to have one, a client that knows what they're doing on the back end, but also having a broker as well that can help, steer the developer into the right modes of finance, really. So it's knowing what stage they're at as well. Obviously, we don't just do development as such and build. We can help with land bridges originally to sort of get that plot of land, work the planning up, get to this position where the development's ready to go, and that we can then obviously, we've got ways and means of getting out at the back end as well if necessary. But yeah, it can't be done over a screen or over, just tapping it into the computer and waiting for the computer to say yes, because there's too many variances. We're a small team. There's only 7 of us on the development team. That just allows the team to, everybody knows every deal. Some better than others. We've all been doing it a fairly long time as well. So again, we're not sort of new to it. We can understand it. We've got good links as well where we can talk to valuers and quantity surveyors and everything like that. And obviously our senior team within the bank as well were very sort of understanding of development finance from their background. So it's nice that whilst we're potentially a big name, we're a small team, but we also have our senior leadership very much hands-on as well. So as we saw with Acre Road, Ian, our sort of co-founder, and actually came out on site and met the team and to get to understand it as well, because that helps with the overall getting the deal lined up correctly for the client. And also, so it meets our requirements, but it does work for the client. It's got to work on both sides of the coin. Extremely key for it to be more of a face-to-face and a real person.
You're absolutely right. I say this to people all the time, that mortgages, it's quite black and white, really. I know some lenders are more flexible than others, but generally speaking, in mortgage world, it's quite black and white tick box lending. But in the bridging and development world, the specialist world, it's nuanced. You can't just put things onto a screen or a spreadsheet necessarily and just say, yes, we'll lend. Yes, you can use spreadsheets and various tools, but blended with human interaction. And like you say, bringing Ian onto the site, one of the co-founders, and I should say that Ian's got a QS background, hasn't he? So he's really well versed in what's required on a site like this, a 69 unit site in Glasgow. So that was really beneficial. I felt that when we turned up that day, and we had Emerson Bond, didn't we, there? The surveyors, we had Ian, yourself, the team from Teal, Paul, Wiz Brokers turned up. I hope I've not missed anyone out. It was, really useful. Oh, Ian, of course, Ian Briley from the construction side. So both Ians there, you've got Ian on the construction side and Ian, your co-founder with a QS background. They speak a language which enables them to really converse on another level, doesn't it? And really understand the developments and get to depths with it all.
Yeah, it's really key as well, because, also location as well. You can look on Google Maps, Google Earth, and you get a feel for what's locally. But until you actually go out and actually set foot and walk around the site, see what's around it, understand exactly where things are going, what it's going to sort of visualize it, really, again, that gives you a completely different flavor for a deal. So it's one of those things. It's very personable. We feel that once we've met a client and we've seen the site, we understand it so much better, and hopefully that gives the client some comfort as well, that one, we know what we're talking about. Two, we do want to try and make sure we're doing the right thing. Yes, we've got to tick boxes for it to sort of get through our credit people and meet our funding requirements and everything like that, but it's doing what's right for the client as well, not putting them into debt that isn't right. And you only get that by having a conversation and understanding, and also as well, it's building up the rapport. What's next? What is the client's plans for the future? Where have they been in the past? And actually build a picture, and then we can sort of then work together and hopefully succeed together as well.
And like we were talking when we were in Glasgow, I mean, this is quite a large site, I guess, in terms of where most developers are at. So when we're talking about 69 unit schemes, I don't want people to be thinking, oh, well, I'm at the other end of the scale. I'm only doing a 6 unit or a 4 unit or whatever. You're in that marketplace as well, aren't you? So
we'll do single unit, and that as much as we'll do 69 units. A lot of the stuff we see is probably 5 to 10, and new build houses, could be office conversion. We're seeing things like demolition of a house or demolition of an old pub or something like that then we've got a new flat, block of flats going up that's sort of got 10 to 20 flats in maybe. So it's completely across the scale. That's why I like doing what I do, because whilst it's the same thing, it's not. Every deal's different. Even if you're looking at 2 different deals in Glasgow's very much a major city and has different areas, different needs to certain areas. And probably with Acre Road, when you initially look at it, you sort of wonder, why will 69 units that are going up there meet and fit in with the environment? And again, until you go and see it, you don't really know that unless you live there. And that's a very helpful thing. We've got the teams up in Glasgow that predominantly they do the buy to let stuff, a bit of our finance stuff and everything like that. But again, we've got people on the ground, know locations. We can always speak to them as well, and we use it a lot. Because again, with the working from home environment now, we're not all London based, we're not all Glasgow based where the two offices are. We're spread out across the whole country. So again, we can talk to our BDMs that work within our buy-to-let teams as well across the country to sort of say, do you know this location, and get a real good feel and a flavour for it, rather than making a decision just based off what we're seeing by doing a little bit of Googling, really.
Yeah, and there's so much going through my head that I could ask you right now, because I want to make sure people have the message that Lendinvest aren't like a London-centric lender, and they're just focused on the southeast, like some lenders are. Nothing wrong with that, but
Yep,
that's
yep.
their market. You lend all across the UK, don't you? I've got this right. Have I? England, Wales, and Scotland. We don't include Northern Ireland within that. It's
Yeah,
England,
at the
Wales, and
moment we
Scotland.
can't go into Northern Ireland, and it's a different marketplace and everything like that. A lot of lenders as well sometimes won't touch Scotland because you do have the differences between English law and Scottish law again. But we've got very good, legal teams that we work with in Scotland as well, so that really helps. But yeah, one day I could be out in mid Wales, another day I could be down in Cornwall or Kent or Norfolk, up in the northeast. Yeah, we're looking after people across the whole country. It gives good variety. We don't want to be a lender that is just lending on London property, because that doesn't work really, because London's a completely different animal to the rest of the country. You can get very stuck with lending in one space. We like to spread it around and look after all the communities. It makes our job more enjoyable, meeting different people and seeing different places, and actually it's quite fulfilling knowing that we've got growth going on all over the place. Sometimes it's actually nice to have that day trip out to the countryside
Oh,
or whatever that people
I
might
was
say.
just going to say that, John. I didn't go abroad till I was about 14, and I had holidayed in the UK, but I
Yeah,
feel like I've seen a lot of the UK. That's great, makes you really grateful for growing up here. I know we've got challenges like the rest of the world, but that's a nice part of the job. I feel that you're able to visit various pockets of the country and see developments in all the different ways that they're done, because it can be a little bit into its own little niche, just say central cities, can't it?
yeah, it
Going
can
on to
be.
the
It can be.
countryside, you're seeing ground up, you're seeing conversions, sites that are maybe, I don't know, £1 million sites, but sites that are also 25 million quid if you've got that range
Yeah,
of
yeah.
ground.
Yeah, definitely. And it's seeing people's visions as well, which is wonderful when you go out to like a dilapidated farmsteading and you look at it and you just think, no way there's going to be 9 units there, 9 nice houses. And then you start looking at people's vision and see what they're bringing it, and then working with them to bring that to life. That's fantastic. And there's nothing better than seeing something day one and sort of, yep, I can understand the vision, we all get on board with it, and then you start seeing it come to life, and then it's finished, there's people moving in. That's a great feeling when you see a finished unit and you've got families or professionals or whoever that marketplace is that
Yeah.
actually it's come to life. That then makes it great. Then, right, what we're going to do next? We don't just want to be a one deal lender. We don't lend the money and then disappear. We like to lend the money but also continue working with clients, because we understand no development really goes to plan. There's always potentially cost hiccups because materials go up, or
Mhm.
there's weather delays, which we're seeing more of in that with our wonderful English weather at the moment. And therefore, whilst you can lay out the best plan day one, we've got to be able to tweak it. We've got to be able to be a bit reactive, but also be a bit proactive, because we are having those conversations, we are keeping close, and it helps obviously because we have a monitoring surveyor that's out monthly normally to arrange the next drawdown for the client. But
Yeah.
we like to keep in touch as well, because it is understanding what's going on. And some developers as well, they've got other businesses in the background that they're working on as well as the development and that. So it's understanding how it all works, and it's what makes us tick, really.
And we were chatting before about, you cover the full range, so you'll bridge in, like with Acre Road, arranged a land bridge on Acre Road,
Yep,
which gave the client some money back there for all the efforts and the time and the money that they'd spent on it.
yep,
And the development side, the development finance, of course, that's what you're arranging on Acre Road. We know you do the
yep,
exit, the buy
yep.
to let side, but you've also got that bit in the middle where we were talking before about development exits that a lot of developers don't know about. But And if you can explain a little bit around development exits and why you would use them.
Yeah. So the development exit, it's a, you know, in a way it's a bit like a bridge, but what we do is we've got this special product that is there whereby development might be finished, the properties are all PC, they're on the market, for some reason they're just not selling as quickly as possible. We've got a developer that's already got his next site lined up, he wants to get started, but he's relied on sales happening. So what we can do is we can come in and say, actually, right, you know, we've lent you 65% of the GDV to get these built, and that's great. What we can then look to do is say, well, what we'll do now is we can then put a new facility in place that will repay the development finance, but also release potentially up to 80% of the GDV. So allowing the client to realize some cash from the property to be able to get started on that next project. And it might also be enough that it puts the money in the pot for the deposit on the land, and then we then have got another development deal that makes up the make weight, or we've got a dev exit coming in on this development, but then a land bridge to sort of then potentially fund 100% of the next purchase, you know, in certain ways. So there's lots of ways around it. And you know, what we don't want to do is, you know, we know our clients, they've got to keep moving, and sometimes, you know, sales don't happen as quickly as possible, but just this way it actually allows the client a little bit more time, a little bit more breathing space. They haven't got to potentially sell things off cheap to get them offloaded. They can hold on for a little bit longer to make sure they get that right price. And it's timing as well. It might not be the right time of year, just dependent on when things finish and everything like that. So that's part of the understanding what our client wants to move on to after they finish this project. We know a lot of our developers, whilst they're starting one project, they've already got the next one in their mind, or they've got a few in their sights that they're looking at. And therefore, actually, we're very happy to be used as a sounding block as well. Sort of like, well, if I bought this and I was looking at this, where could I get to? And then we can give them a little bit of an idea. So again, it helps them with their decision process with regards to, is that scheme going to be viable? What's the finance going to look like to build that out in advance, rather than wait until they're sort of definitely want to go ahead with it and then the finance not work for them. So again,
Yeah.
you know, we can get involved really early on just to give them a flavor and a steer as to what they're looking at finance wise, or actually can we do a bit of a bridge to help them in the first place. And that, so because obviously planning nowadays doesn't take as quick as it should do. It's quite costly as well. It's not, you know, a quick 100 quid submit a planning application. There's a lot that goes into it. A lot of money spent before they even put a spade in the ground as well. And that's what, you know, we like to try and understand as well. You know, a client hasn't just purchased a property, potentially they've purchased it and then spent a fair bit of money getting planning worked up, architects in place. As we saw with Paul, we understood what Paul had already spent on the site, and that to get to where he was at the time, we're now spade in the ground and the build is started.
Yeah, no, brilliant. I guess to finish off, John, and I didn't say this at the beginning, but you've had a long career in banking, and finishing off, well, not that you're ready for retirement, but where you are right now, of course, is development finance. What stands out in your mind as the main challenges, or I guess the pieces of advice you could give to developers to either not do or do when they're engaging in the latest project?
I think, one, don't be afraid of using a broker. Don't be afraid of talking to a broker, because brokers have their ear to the ground. They know not just Lendinvest, they know all the good development lenders as well. So they can steer people in the right direction. They can help people gather information. Don't be afraid of having that initial conversation. You know, don't wait until you've got every piece of paper you think might be needed. Engage as early as you want, even if it is just, oh, think I might be interested in this site. Have a conversation and try and find out where it's going to be, whether or not, you know, there's lenders that out there that would help. It's one of these things, we're never afraid to give a quick no, because what we don't want to do is give a long-winded maybe, and then a no. We'd much rather look at a deal and
Absolutely.
say that that's not going to work. But as much as it is not going to work, we also like to say, well, we might be able to work it in this direction. So I think it's key, you know, definitely, you know, don't be afraid of a broker. Engage as early as possible. We're happy to talk directly to clients as much as we are via brokers as well. But again, you know, we like to work as an overall team, and that we're not here just to be the bank manager in the background. We want to be part of the team. We've got lots of contacts through clients that we have already. So, there's not many places in the UK we probably haven't been to or looked at, or we've got coverage from valuers, quantity surveyors, even some of our solicitors as well. Because one, we don't spread our work out around lots of people. We keep quite close teams with the professionals that we work with as well. We're very much able to also lean on them as well. So if a client has got something's cropped up legally on a site or something like that they're not sure of, we can ask one of our lawyers to give us an idea of what their thoughts are as well. So, we're not solicitors, we're not specialists in some of the legal things. So again, we're very much, in a way, a link for a client to get some information from a solicitor or to get some information from a valuer or a quantity surveyor. So don't be afraid to have a conversation as early as possible. We don't want war and peace. We like to make deals as simple as we can. Yes, there's certain things we have to go down the road of, but again, the idea is to work together and get a deal done together rather than
Absolutely. Yeah, teamwork, isn't it?
yeah,
It's so
it
much
is.
about, it's only when you work on a big project you realize how much it is about teamwork. You cannot do it on your own. There's like, it doesn't matter how experienced you are, because there's so many moving parts, there's so many different specialisms and professionals involved that why not call on your network? And
Yeah,
it's a
definitely.
strong one, a vast one, isn't it?
Yeah, and also, it's why, I'm very grateful that I've got a very good team that sits behind me as well.
Mm.
It's not just me or Steve, who's sort of our other sort of guy on the road, but also our team leader. We've got guys that have been doing this for years, and I'm very lucky that I've got a very good team of people behind me. I've got Graham, I've got Natalie, I've got Katrina, all in the office doing the day to day. They know all the contacts, they know all the clients, just little things like, once we get a deal motoring, we pride ourselves in the minute a monitoring surveyor report lands on our desk, we deal with it, and we get funds out to the client the same working day.
Yeah, that's
If it
brilliant.
lands late in the afternoon, it will be first thing in the morning, but that sort of thing is important. So it always takes priority, because we know we've got guys out there that have got to pay people on site. They need to make sure bills are paid on time to keep the cogs rolling. We're not just a person that comes out and can talk a good deal. The proof's in the pudding, and been doing it a long time, but we've got a very good team of people that are purely focused on property development. Within the bank, we've got teams that are focused on buy to let, teams that are focused on bridging. So we've got specialists within those areas rather than trying to be a jack of all trades. I know a little bit about bridging because I've dealt with it in the past, but I'm not the expert, but I know someone that is. And so again, that's all part of our teamwork. We can't be a jack of all trades and a specialist in every area. The brokers of the world know how to get a deal written, how to present a deal, how to package a deal, and everything like that. So that's where their work is key. The work that you do is key. And also, we know when a deal comes to Lendinvest via a broker that we work with, like Express,
Mhm.
it's been thought through, it's packaged, it comes to us as a deal that we can actually immediately pick up and work. But again, we have early conversations before it even gets to that stage as well, which, again, clients might not understand that we speak quite often in the fact that we know a deal's coming before really it's all put together, because we use the sounding boards, and likewise, if we've got a client that is struggling a little bit, we will potentially say to a client, look, have a chat with one of our brokers. They're local, they know the area, they can really help. It's all about finding the right deal for the right client, isn't it?
Absolutely, John. And yeah, just to sort of finish off on that, I'd say that a lot of people think that because you may be a bank, you mentioned before about a quick no, or they make you jump through lots of hoops. But the point I would like to make is that you really persevered on a challenging deal, and it wasn't easy to get through Acre Road. There was a number of challenges there.
Taken us a long time, yeah.
Yeah, he won't mind me saying that it wasn't easy to get over the line, and you stuck with it. You persevered. You're resilient, and in the end, it came good. So thank you very much for that.
No. Well, ultimately, we knew we had a very good client at the back end of it. There's a very good deal there. It was just making it work, wasn't it? And it was very much a team effort across every side of our business, your business, the client, all of his team,
Mhm.
and yeah, I think if there wasn't that collaboration and people weren't willing to have a conversation and actually talk something through, things don't happen. It could have been very easy not to have done the deal on all sides, because we sometimes don't make things easy from our side, as much as obviously there's certain roadblocks that we can't get over because they're needed legally or something like that. By having a discussion and a proper face-to-face conversation, we make things work.
No, thanks, John. Thanks very much for coming on.
No, pleasure. And let's do some more business together.
I hope this episode gave you a closer look about what it really takes to bring a development to life. From early engagement to the strength of collaboration, it's all about the people behind the deals. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more lessons in property. See you next time.